Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the White Belt MMA podcast, and it's an absolute pleasure to have on the show today, Jasmine Jasudavicius. So, Jasmine, you're coming off a big win. So, how you feeling, especially a couple months removed from it?
I feel good. It was my debut, and I'm like very obviously happy on the result of it. And I just feel like I feel good going into camp. I didn't take really any damage, and I'm super happy about it.
Yeah, how do you feel, especially, because I just seen the UFC kind of put out your like next level kind of like documentary type of style of like, the lead up to your UFC debut. So like, how does it feel knowing that like, especially like the UFC was kind of following you around in the process of your UFC debut, kind of going from like, telling your story, right? From going from Contender series to let's say like from no fans to no fan, I mean to like a whole stadium. How did that feel, especially the camera crews following you around and all that?
Initially it was weird, like having the cameras around all the time, but you kind of forgot about them pretty quick. Like I'd say within an hour, then it was almost like they're just like around and you're just going about your day. But there were times where I'd almost have to like catch myself. I'm like, okay, wait, I gotta make sure I'm not swearing. I gotta make sure I'm like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
check yourself a little bit. But yeah, like it was cool to see that whole thing finally like in a video. Like it was nuts, like because they captured the moment like so well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with the cameras following you around, did people like, on your team were they kind of giving you like kind of not crap for it, but they were joking around to like, oh, like, Jasmine's a superstar now, like got the cameras following you around and stuff.
Oh yeah, all like every time that the camera people were in, like people like, oh Hollywood, like shit like that. You know what I mean? Just grinding my gears. But we got a lot of guys at the gym that they're fighting in big shows, so the cameras are pretty often at the gym. So it's like whoever the cameras are on, that's the one that people are talking shit about.
That's hilarious. So Jasmine, especially, coming off that video, I mean, I really wanted to talk to you, especially, talk a little bit more about your beginning in the sport of MMA. And like, I ask this question a lot to, a bunch of people that I get on here. And, some people, they tell me they got through MMA through, family. And then other people would say they just stumbled upon the sport. So for you, what was your story? You know what I mean? Because I'm really interested, especially knowing like the, different fighters, different stories towards, making a career out of it.
So I was like quite a bit older when I started MMA. I went on a trip out to like Prince Edward Island in Canada, and he was like just my boyfriend at the time. Now he's my boyfriend and my head coach, but at the time he was just my boyfriend. He said, "Do you want to come out to PI to? I'm doing a training camp for former UFC fighter Jason Sago." And then I'm just like, "Yeah, sure." Like of course I want to go up there and just eat a bunch of lobster and enjoy the island. Like why wouldn't I want to do that? So then I go out there, and like Jason was getting ready for, I think it was UFC Ottawa at the time.
Mhm.
And so we were out there for I think a week or 10 days, and I was just watching them training every day. And so I saw what it was like. I was like, oh, like this is actually really cool. But then it was like sparring. I watched them do sparring, and I was like, oh, this is super cool. I'm like, let me try. And they're like, you're not going from like doing nothing to
Mhm.
sparring. And then so then after practice, Jason did some like moving around with me, and like I'm trying my hardest to like kick and punch him and everything, but he's just, what it's like going against someone that's very inexperienced.
Mhm.
And so then afterwards he's like, we have like a bit of a natural feel. You should start training, like you might be able to make a run at this. And so that's kind of like how it started. And but it wasn't until I was actually watching the fight at UFC Ottawa that like seeing the lights and like the walkout and like just like how hype it was, that I was like, like I'm gonna really actually like make a run at this.
Yeah, was that the same event? Because I've seen your past interviews saying that, like, a friend of yours kind of said like a little bet, something about a tattoo or something like that.
Yeah, that was the same event. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure she regrets that bet now.
Dude, seriously, we're like figuring out this whole tattoo thing because we want to get it done before my second fight. You know what I mean? Like the first fight was like, okay, you're in the UFC for sure. And now it's like she has to get it before my second fight. So we're just like discussing like size and what exactly it's gonna be like and everything. So it's gonna be sick. I can't wait for it. I like actually have to get it done.
Oh man, I already know that video is going to go viral. So like it's like it's funny, but at the same time, I kind of feel bad for her because I'm like, damn, she probably should. I
Yeah.
mean, if anything, it was probably a motivating factor for you. So
Seriously, I gave her the out too. After I got the Contender series contract, I like messaged her and I'm just like, yo, Kylie, like honestly, if you really don't want to get this tattoo, like you don't have to. I won't hold you to it or anything. And she like starts laughing. She's like, no, man, like I'm a man of my word. I'm like, for sure I'm getting it. So it's I gave her the out too. And so we'll see. I can't wait.
I mean, props to her though. I mean, like you said, it's like, she made the bet and she's sticking through it. So that's awesome though.
Yeah.
But yeah, but just to bring it back. So you said, like I said, that event was the event that you were like, okay, I'm gonna make a run at this. So you get to the gym, you start training. And I saw in the little piece, the little documentary piece, you said that like you guys started training in this like little small gym. Like obviously now you guys are like in a bigger facility, but like, do you think that like the fact that you were training at a smaller gym kind of helped your development kind of ramp up a little bit faster, as opposed to being at a big facility that for other people you're just a number, but for here it felt more like a tight knit family.
For sure, 100%. Like, obviously, we had like far more coach attention,
Mhm.
and I had to get good quick. It was like sink or swim. I was the worst person in the room, like by a landslide. And if I didn't like get good quick, I'm just gonna get my ass kicked like day in and day out. And it took a long time, but I started getting a little bit better and giving the guys like good work because I didn't have any girls that I was training with. Like when I started, my main partner was like Tishay, who's a 35er, but he's had like fucking a ton of kickboxing fights. He was already like he was still an amateur, but he already had like at least 3 fights. Like it was like he knew what he was doing at this point. Like, and I didn't know shit, but so props to him for like putting up with me for all these years and like because there's so many times I mess up the combo and throw like a head kick instead of a leg kick and like his eyes were always turned on, and so that's why I say that he has such good defense now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like you said, it's like, it was either sink or swim. You had to get better quick. So eventually you got to your first amateur fight. And I always love asking those questions to the fighters. Just like, some fighters, they give me the, nah, like, I was ready from the start. Other people, they tell me that there was a couple nerves kind of going into this. So for you, what was you like? Were you just like, okay, it's just like kind of just being in the gym, kind of another sparring session? Or for you, you're just like, you kind of felt that nervous energy in your stomach going in for your first amateur fight?
No, I was super nervous. I mean, but I I kind of like chalked it up, and this is what I do for every one of my fights is like, did I train the hardest I could to, I've done the work, I've done everything on the back end. And if I could like confidently say yes to that, then going into that fight, the outcome doesn't matter because I'll try my hardest. And, if my hardest isn't good enough, then it's not good enough. But, I can't be mad at myself because it's like I never cheat. I never cheat on my diet in camp. I never miss a session. I like, you know what I mean? Like I do everything that I believe is 100% right, so that there's no little nagging thing in the back of my head, any reason for me to be unhappy. So that's why I feel like when I get into the cage, I can kind of be free because I just gotta like go to work. Maybe that's it. That's like the best way for me to like feel. And so that's what I did in my amateur fight, and it works kind of consistently throughout my career now.
That's awesome. And how was the feeling like, especially after that first win though? Because it must have been it must have
Oh,
felt
the
great
first
because
win is the best. It's
it's
like the greatest thing in the world. It's like you're like a junkie, like trying to chase that high. The first win, it's like the most amazing thing in the world. So, every win like has its own like special thing, but you'll always remember your first.
yeah, definitely. So, do you remember the celebration after that first win? Was it just a bunch of food and everything like that, or did you guys just go all out on that?
Everything, food, booze, like, we were in the States, so we could go to like the grocery store and get all this like crazy treats that we don't have in Canada. And it was like just in Rochester, so we were driving home, but it's like we just stop at whatever fast food like that we pass. I'm like, let's go there, we got cookies, like I'm like half in the bag, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so much fun. You're on top of the world.
That's awesome, man. And it brought you all the way to the Contender Series. Like you said, it's like, from 2017 to your Contender Series fight. I mean, for it was a pretty fast, obviously, like, from the outside looking in, fast rise. But we know that there was, tons of hours that were put in. But
Yeah.
how did it feel to get that, a call for the UFC for the Contender Series? Because, like, I'm pretty sure, like, you got that call and you're like, okay, it's time to really show everyone that it's time, it's go time.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
It's like that fight was actually like the most important fight of my life, because I win that and I do well and I get a contract and I'm in the UFC, or I lose that or win and don't do so well and not get a contract and I'm still on the regional scene. Like, it's the risk versus reward on that is like, it's crazy, the difference. So like, every fight that you're getting into is the most important fight of your life, but it's like, now thinking about my career as a whole, that obviously would be my most important fight.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And then, you go into the Contender Series and you kind of talked about it, in the video, right? Like, especially at the end of that first round, that you saw the finish, you wanted the finish, and you went all out. And you started talking about a little bit how, like, you're like, oh crap, like, did I, waste too much energy? So
Yeah.
can you kind of go back a little bit to, talk a little bit about that? Because it's like, for me, someone that trains and it just obviously doesn't do it for a living, but like, I mean, in a little sparring session, if I'm gassed and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this, but I can only imagine in your situation, right? Like all the nerves in terms of like, the contract and yeah, like you said, just knowing that like your energy might be shot out. So like, how did it feel in that situation? Like, was it just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna need my coaches to kind of just calm me down and we'll just keep following the game plan?
Well, it's like the bell rings and I'm just like, like I knew I used way more energy than I should. But that's what the good thing about training hard is,
Mhm.
that I've been in that situation in the room where I felt completely dead and I still got through the rest of practice. I still, I got that takedown, or I still like landed that shot I wanted to land, or whatever it may be. I still was able to do that. And so it's like, I was completely exhausted, but I'm like, well, I've been here before. We're in deep waters, like it's one of those like embrace it, because there's nothing you can do about it. If you panic, you're just making it worse.
No, yeah, definitely. And then, like I said, you eventually get that contract. And like, I just love in the video like the UFC put out. It's just like how they kind of, made that moment when like Dana White kind of said your name, the same in the contract or like that. So like just to bring it back to the video, do you think that like video just captured it perfectly? Like that, like the like how you felt when he said your name?
Yeah, it was nuts. Like it's so surreal to like think about it after, because when I did that filming for that
Mhm.
was after Contender Series. So as I was describing it, I had to describe it in present tense, even
Mhm.
though it was it was in the past.
Mhm.
And so I was kind of like struggling with that a little bit. But like how they do the editing and all that kind of stuff, like they picked up exactly the right moment, that like they made the fans believe it, even though I was struggling to like explain the situation.
That's
It was
awesome.
awesome. They captured it so well.
Yeah, they definitely did, and obviously the UFC debut and everything like that. So it's like, do you know if like by any chance the UFC's gonna keep following you for your next fight, especially I think your next fight just got announced right against Natalia Silva. Do you know if the
Yeah.
UFC's gonna follow you by any chance, or at this point it's kind of like it was they were
I
just.
would.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think they would, because that was for the Contender series show. Like that was kind of like for it was for that.
Mhm.
And so it's like before and after being a Contender. I mean, I hope that they continue to do shows on me. That'd be fucking awesome. But I mean, I don't see them kind of continuing on,
Yeah, I mean, if anything,
unfortunately.
you might get a little break from teammates, getting on you, calling you superstar and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, Jasmine. So, like I said at the beginning, I mean, I really appreciate you making the time for, giving me this interview. So, I don't want to take too much of your time. You're gracious with your time already. So before we go, like, do you want to, give your social media so everyone watching can go and follow you?
Yeah, so my Instagram, Jasmine Jasudavicius, and Twitter is Jasudavicius. I mean, just start mashing the keyboard and my last name will probably come up.
There you go. There you go. So, Jasmine, once again, thank you. And then hopefully we can do it again in the future. And to everyone watching, peace.